Tempus and K'Tierra have ducked down an alleyway and gotten out of sight of Gorold and his goons and are on the path somewhere. Who knows where? We'll find out now.
Oh, that was a bit of a trouble, wasn't it? The stupid bastard. I hope the already stupid barbarian dies. I should have fireballed him. I should have.
It's okay. We'll get back to that later, but for right now, we need to get clear.
That's true. Damn, I'm sorry that I'm such a limp bag of noodles. But you wanted to head north, did you? Like the problem is do we head north around, swing around and go over the river? But is it still frozen?
For right now, we just need to get out of the city and get ourselves some space. Which way is out?
Well, the fastest way would be to go out through the southeast gate, but that's probably where everybody's still at. But the army headed off, so maybe there's nobody at those gates. I don't know. Otherwise, we got to go through at least half of the city to the north.
Do you want to go through the north end of the city? Do you maybe want to visit some of them that wronged us on the way out of here?
Oh, sweet Jesus, no, we're in no shape to deal with anybody. We need to bugger off quietly.
Southeast it is. Let me know if you see like a clothesline or something, because I gave up my ring to Izmir when I surrendered, and it's getting damn cold out here. And I think we're going to start heading off southeast.
And then I look down and I watch his dangle dingle back and forth, and I'm kind of like, oh yeah, you need covering. And I will keep my eyes out to see if there's any clothes on a hanger or anything like that I can just like grab while we're running by him.
It is wintertime, so there's not really clothes on lines out in the city. They just freeze. Kind of to the south of you, there is the southern market. If you wanted to head in that direction to try to find some clothes.
Like, how bad are we physically? Are we like bloody messes?
You're a disaster, the both of you.
Oh, I know I am, but I was hoping that Tempest wasn't as bad, but looking at the health bars, yeah.
Yeah, you're both hurting real bad right now.
I got 10 HP, friendo. We're in bad shape. But yeah, I'm totally inclined to head for the market and go visit my old friend Jerry Lou.
You know what? While he's holding me, I'm going to do a cast heal wounds on Tempest. Give yourself 8.
Oh, why thank you.
No need to thank me. I'm thinking of my own damn skin.
Well, I've gone and added 8 hit points. Yeah, we are not going subtle or quiet about this at all. Like, we're going hell-bent for leather through the streets. If we can get to the southern market and hit up Jerry Lou's quickly, I'd like to, but I think that's where we're at.
Okay, so you head to the southern market. It is fairly quiet right now. You can see people lining the streets in various states of pain, but nobody's paying you any particular mind. The shopkeepers are all there, doing their best to keep their shops open amidst a crush of people who are injured and wounded walking through the area, and keeping an eye on their goods to make sure that thieves don't wander off with things without paying.
How much cash have you got?
40 feet of movement speed per round.
No, not speed, cash. We don't want to get a big hue and cry and maybe attract Gold and his frickin' gums. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to even speak any more of that. But if we want to close, we gotta pay.
Going off of my character sheet, I have 19 silver. Presumably, I'm clenching them between my cheeks at the moment, because, like, with you over one shoulder, I don't know how else I'm carrying them. But yeah, I don't know, man. Do you have any leftover cash?
I've got 28 gold.
Yeah, that's more than enough for a set of clothes.
So does he have any problems finding our favorite little tailor buddy?
Well, yes, because his favorite tailor buddy is actually in the central market, but you do find a tailor shop run by a dragonkin named Fundu.
Great, bursting into the shop with K'Tierra over my shoulder and shouting, "I require clothing and will pay in the local currency."
He takes a look at you and says, "Clearly." He goes off to a rack of clothing, just basic clothes, and hands you a couple of pieces that he thinks will fit. They're plain, nothing to write home about, and he lets you know that it'll cost 5 silver pieces for the common clothes.
Oi, Fundin, thank you very much. Got a question for you, though. Do you have anything that's fur-lined?
You want winter clothing?
If possible, that would be lovely.
He goes to another rack behind the counter and rifles through some. It's not great quality. Some of it has holes in it where it looks like the previous wearer was probably stabbed, and they've been patched up. And some of them are stained. But he gets you a set of cold weather clothing. Says it'll be 8 gold pieces.
For the two of us?
If you each want a pair or a set, it'll be 8 gold each.
All right. I'm going to try and use persuasion to
Okay.
knock it down to like 4 gold pieces for both sets.
You mean 4 gold pieces per set?
Yeah,
Okay.
20.
He'll meet you halfway for 6 gold pieces per set.
I don't want to take any more time. I'll take that off my inventory.
Thank you.
All right, done. You're getting the better of the deal still, but thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. If you find yourself without clothes again, I'm happy to help. No questions asked.
I can tell by the state of the clothing. You make sure you keep yourself good.
I just buy what comes in.
Indeed.
All hail the Queen in the North. Bye. And I'm going to rush out the door carrying K'Tierra.
And I'm just
Okay.
covering my eyes going, oh, fuck.
Okay, where are you guys going now?
Heading for the city gate. We have clothing. We're not going to freeze to death immediately. That's all the supplies I need.
Okay. You continue through the streets and alleys, and it's the same sight everywhere around here. There are people in pain. Clearly, they were all involved in the defense of the city. You can see some people have died in the streets, whether it's from wounds or exposure, you're not sure. But there are many people just laying out. Few of them have people actually attending to them. And you make it to the gates, and there's a solitary guard at the door who's injured, and he's not really even paying attention to you guys as you approach.
Is he armed?
Yes, with a short sword, I believe, or a club.
Anything else anything else set him out? Like, is he wearing armor? Does he have like a backpack on? Anything at all?
Yeah, he's got a club and a hand axe at his belt, and he's wearing leather armor.
Okay, not enough for me to bite. You want anything he has, K'Tierra?
Yeah. I just want to get past him without getting a fight or needing to blow a spell.
Is the gate open?
Yeah.
Oh, then easy enough. We just run past him, like heading out the gate.
Okay. He doesn't even say anything as you go. He's just slumped against the wall.
All right.
Oh no, I got a roll. I'm sorry, I got a roll. High is bad. They lucked out. Okay, we continue on our way.
Okay, you make it out out of the city walls, and you're on the road. You can see the snow here has been completely churned up by the crush of the undead that had been here, but as before, they are long gone now.
Now, we could try and hole up to where the bone beastie was at that temple.
I was thinking the same thing. Let's go check out the Temple of Fa Lang and reconnoiter a little.
I.
And that's where we'll head.
That's not too far. That's like around 15, 20 minutes.
Oh heck, it's within view of the city walls. It's just like a couple
Yeah.
100 meters out the city there.
Should be.
Yep, it doesn't take you long to get there at all.
Okay, we'll dash in. I do remember that they had a couple of storerooms, so we'll quickly, with like a number of like bags and stuff in there, we'll quickly roll that. I think they had a storeroom full of food, but we weren't certain if it was any good, right?
And that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, first off, we got to get up the wall and then go down the snow slope.
Well, I mean, is it even locked after we went through it the first time?
I think we went up the wall and down the snow last time. We didn't open the gates or anything.
Yeah, there's no gates. It's just doors. It's just a temple. It's not like a fortified structure or anything.
No, we're talking the outside walls.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll go in and quickly reconnoiter. Can we find like any rations, any food?
There are dry goods in the storage shed out in the northwest.
Also, I want to use perception to try and see if there's any recent marks of that bone.
I was gonna say I'd also like to sniff and inspect the food and see if it's any good.
Okay, so is that a perception or an investigation?
K'Tierra, you can give me survival to do tracking, and Tempus, you can give me perception or investigation for taking over. Well, I guess if you're sniffing, perception.
I got 12 on the survival.
Yeah, you're not seeing any fresh tracks in the area. It looks like there's fresh snowfall since the last time you guys were here, and there's no tracks at all. The bags of goods that you sniff through do smell like there's something off with them, Tempest.
Bollocks. I think the food is corrupted, but that's okay. I can look after us both if we need to. K'Tierra, are you good to take a quick rest here? Is there any benefit for you? Do you out of game, do you have any hit dice, buddy?
Yeah, I don't tend to use my hit dice. Let me just double check. I think I've actually got all my hit dice.
Okay, I think you take a short rest. I'm going to cast a ritual spell.
All right, I'm
Okay.
doing the short rest. I'll give you bardic inspirations. And I've got a total of 7 hit dice. I'm going to use 1, 2 first. Okay, so I got 1 out of 6 and an 8. So that gives me,
So you're up to 24.
yeah. I'm not top of the morning, but I'm not in crap shape either. 24. I'm going to spend 1 more hit dice. So that's 3 hit dice. So that gives me another 6.
Nice.
And while that's not 100%, that's good enough.
Yeah, so you're feeling pretty good after the short rest. Tempest, you cast a spell that allows you to speak with animals.
Yeah, so standing out in the courtyard, Tempest is going to, get in tune with his inner wild spirit and is going to just, sit cross-legged, focus on his own wild soul and what sort of makes him what he is, his totem, and then he's going to open his eyes after 10 minutes and say, beasts of the air, beasts of the ground, little birdies, small crawling animals, are any of you there? Come and speak with Tempest.
You do have a small mouse crawl out of the temple and scamper up to you.
Hello, little friend. What is your name?
Pick!
Pleased to meet you, Pick. What can you tell me about the creatures that were lairing here?
Oh, they bad. They eat family.
Well, crap. I guess you're gonna have to come with us then and we'll look after you. Listen, Pick. My friend and I are on a spirit quest. We are seeking to realign ourselves with the world and find healing. Do you know where we could go? We're looking for something. I don't know what, but something holy, something sacred, a place of learning and of healing.
Oh, when Pick hurt, when Pick sick, Pick go to Grizz.
Where is Grizz?
Long way from here. Long way north.
Can you show us, Pick?
Pick need a long time to get there, but Pick can show you.
Well, I'll carry you on my person, and I will feed you of my own supplies.
Oh, thank you. What your name?
I am Tempus Twiceborn of the Jagged Tusk Orc clan.
What? Me call you Tem.
Sure, that works. Okay, anyway, let's get you up here and get you comfortable, and I'll stuff him in like either a pocket or a sleeve, and I'll go back and I'll wait for K'Tierra to finish his short rest. And then when he does, I'll tell him like off the start, okay, I think I know where we're going to go.
This is the first time that I've actually realized how much I've been damaged, isn't it? Like, I'm moving around by myself and realizing, like, I am slow as hell.
Yeah, you are hurting. You are missing your loot. It's hard to move around under your own power. You can use like a board or something that you find in the temple as a poor man's crutch to help you get around at half speed. But yeah, you are in terrible shape.
Tempest, I'm going to be a big hindrance unless I get well.
Yeah, and that's what we're gonna do. You see, everything that has happened because we've been out of balance. We've been fighting with ourselves. We've been uncoordinated. We've been struggling towards different goals. The gods have thrown us into disarray, and our spiritual health has been affected terribly. But I know what to do now.
I just kind of cock my head a little bit sideways, and I'm like, really?
Yes. See, right now, what has happened is sort of endemic for the rest of the world. Everything is tearing itself apart. The center cannot hold, and we have lost our spiritual center. The key to fixing this is fixing you and finding something that we've been missing. And I'm going to show him the little mouse in my pocket and say, our friend here is going to tell us where to find Grizz, the city councillor you've told me about.
The druid.
Exactly. And he is going to guide us. We have gone from this simply being a war band or a war quest. You and I are on a spirit quest. We're going out into the wilderness to get our souls straight and get back in the fight.
And you see KTR just get really reflective and kind of draw in upon himself. And like you can almost hear gears spinning and cogs moving in his head as he's like thinking through this. And then he finally just shakes his head a little bit, breaks off a little bit, goes into his pack, his purse, and breaks off a little bit of cheese and holds it out to the mouse.
The mouse sniffs it tentatively, then grabs it in his front paws and starts nomming it away.
I just kind of smile and I say, it's time that I start to make amends for what you don't know about me. Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to carry me. Otherwise, I'll be slowing you down way too much. Can you do it?
Of course. There's an old orc saying that when trouble is too great and your foes are too terrible, you run. And if you can't run, well, then you crawl. And if you can't crawl, you find someone to carry you. And honestly, I think that this is the best thing that could happen because I realized something while I was in the prison cell thinking. This isn't just a fight against a terrible opponent. This is a clash of spirit and of the soul. So if we go out into the woods, get our souls right, there ain't nothing gonna stop us.
Nowhere near as spiritual as you, but I can't think of anything better that I'd rather do than spend time with you trying to make the world right. So let's be off.
Well, first, do you have any paper?
Do you want me to write something for you?
No, I want to write a letter to Urine.
Huh. Oh, aye, here. and I give him an ink bottle, a quill, and some paper.
And I'm gonna stuff all that into my pants and say, well, I'll write it when we're on the road. I'm gonna have to find like a bird or something to deliver it anyway. So let's be off. And I'm going to, we'll try and make K'Tierra as comfortable as possible. And like, we can do something with a couple of straps. Like we can get a few straps around like his waist and his legs and up around his shoulders so his back is supported. And if we run those across my shoulders, then I can put my core and my back into carrying him as well as my arms.
Actually,
Oh,
is there a basket around here? Like a basket that would have been holding spoiled food?
Well, the spoiled food in the shed is all in bags, but there are baskets inside the temple that would have been used for like clothing and stuff like that.
Okay, are they big enough that I could hack up openings for my feet and a strap to put it around? So basically, I'm in a basket with a strap around his chest, under his arms, to make it as comfortable as possible and as easy for him to spread the weight.
Give me a survival check to butcher one of these baskets and make it into a kind of harness.
Okay, now, is that me or Tempest that's doing the hacking, or do each of us get a chance?
I'll take it because I'm proficient with survival. Are you proficient with survival? Can you help me?
Only half. Only half.
He can help you with it, so you roll at advantage.
You go. Sweet.
Yep, you find a basket that's a suitable size for K'Tierra and cut some holes in it and put a strap on it, and it seems to hold pretty well.
Disco, with my boon companions in tow, K'Tierra and Pick the Mouse, we are taking off into the wilderness, not looking back.
Okay, I'm hitting him
Okay.
with another cure wounds because he didn't get a chance. Crap roll, but at least it's 5. And that taps me for level 1 spells.
Thank you kindly. That takes me up to 23 out of 66.
Yeah, a little more than a third. Okay, so we're heading out, and I take it we're going north from here?
Yes, that is the direction that Pick said to go.
Okay.
So,
Am I going to go first, or are you going to go first?
Well, you're carrying me, so I would think that I'm just following you.
No, silly, for storytelling.
Ah! Um, hmm. Do you want something lighthearted or do you want to hear something dark?
Hey, if you're going first, it's your choice.
Uh, well, do you want to hear how the hell I ended up here?
Ooh, yes.
I didn't want to say this in front of the ladies because it's actually not very complimentary. But you do know that I'm a bard and I went through the college.
What's a college?
Ah, it's a place where a bunch of people that want to learn something gather together, and people that are experienced in what they want to know tell them and teach them how to do it. So that's the college.
That's amazing. Why doesn't everybody go to college?
Because it's expensive as hell. It's not something very easy for most people to do. And I managed to kind of slip my way in.
What do you
due
mean?
t- I I was very, very talented. And one of the teachers, when they were outside the college, heard me skiffing in the streets, like trying to get food. And I was doing it by playing my panpipes. And I tapped the panpipes on my chest. And I was good enough that more people than not would throw me more money than usual. Okay? So he, he, he could sense my talent. And he thought it would be worth the risk of taking me into the college. And Geraldo was a kindly man, and he brought me in, but I don't think he realized that a gutter snipe like me looked down on as a half elf and treated like crap, and except when I played. Um, wouldn't really fit in with all the toffs and the rich and the snobby and the well-to-do. There were a few that heard me play and were nice. It wasn't boon companions, but they were friendly. However, there was one really rich snoot that got a burr under his butt because I was a better player and I was more capable and I was doing better than him. And the rivalry between the two of us was easy enough until it came close to the graduation. And then, well, he said he wanted to talk. And we went to talk. And then he drew a sword. And long story short, I ended up killing him. And then I ran. I ran for my life. And my poor, dear Loot helped me run and flee all the way up here.
But
Where I
why would you run if he attacked you first?
Because he was rich. Because he was somebody and I was, except for, well, I was nothing. I was somebody that took out somebody, and the college wouldn't protect me.
Couldn't
Geraldo, much as he cared for me, couldn't protect me. So I ran.
couldn't you just demand that somebody cast a spell of truth on you so that they knew that you were telling the truth?
I didn't think that far ahead.
Couldn't you have challenged his family to a trial by combat?
That's not the way the justice system works in the South.
I'm starting to see why you didn't want us to wait for a trial.
I don't have much faith in impartial justice because it always seems to land on the side that has the money.
Well, okay, I'm sorry to keep interrupting. What happened next?
Oh, there's not really that much more to say. I fled for my life. I used my long strider loot. Oh, I hope those didn't break it. And I made my way up to the blue lock, and I fell in there, and I started practicing my trade. I started playing and entertaining and making friends and making attachments. And then the zombies, the undead came, and they ruined that for me.
K'Tierra, aren't you like 100 years old?
I think I'm 130.
How long were you at college for?
Uh, Actually, not that long. I spent my first 100 years, uh, in the forest, and it was only when I realized that everybody. Well, I don't mean to make it sound like I'm just a downtrodden, poor little. Being a half elf in an elven village isn't really a good thing. So I left there when I had enough training and abilities in my basic magic and went to the city and thought I could make something of myself there, and then went to the Bard College because I could think I could make something of myself there. And I had dreams and hopes of becoming, you know, so talented, so well known, so sought after that I could become part of a noble's household and like be their entertainer, their educator, like helping their wee ones if they had kids. And yeah, it's not ended up that way, but there's still time. Hey, right?
Well, no, because, my mother laid claim to you, so, you're joining our tribe instead, which I'm happy for. Your talents, I think, would be wasted working for someone like the Damalines or for Yurine's parents.
Hi, but think of me working for Yusmir.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's going to end up working for Izmir, whether they know it or not.
But what I'm saying is, if I'm Yusmir's official bard, that would give me enough status and enough wherewithal that I could provide for your mother richly and also the tribe. Like maybe the broken tusk could become her house guard.
No, I don't think so. the free folk of the North don't tend to do so well on long-term agreements like that, and my tribe in particular. Besides, we really don't need much in the way of material items or anything.
Well, I do love your mum. It's it it's quite unusual how it all happened, but it's nice being wanted. It's nice being somebody that makes a difference. And yeah, I like that.
Well, and we're going to keep on about it. Well, okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. Tell us another.
Another story?
As you get to the end of that first story, Pick starts to squeak at you, Tempest, and is kind of running all over your body and K'Tierra's.
Hey, what's up, little buddy?
I'll stop and sniff the air.
Perception check.
Oh, crap, I can't access my character sheet. Whatever, it's a +0. Here comes a straight d20.
Oh, is there any chance that I could use perception?
Yeah, you can give me a perception check as well.
Better, not much. 13.
You're not seeing anything that would be causing Pick to become excitable.
Tempest, don't you have any way to talk to the wee beast?
Yeah, keep an eye out and give me a few minutes, and I'll just sort of, again, sit down in the snow and ritual cast Speak with Animals.
Okay. You're not disturbed at all as you cast the spell. And Pick says, "You fast.
Yep.
You go that way now." And he kind of looks towards the west.
Oh, good looking out. Okay. Stopping for 10 minutes is a little bit risky, so we're going to need to come up with a system for you to, like, guide me when after I lose my ability to speak with you, okay?
What's a minutes?
It's a sense of passing time, how we divide the movement of the sun and the moon.
He just stares at you blankly.
Okay, when you want me to turn left, you bite me here on the left arm. And when you want me to turn right, you bite me here on the right arm. Got it?
It might
Okay.
be easier if he bites you on your earlobes, but whatever.
That's going to get a firm no from me, but yeah, so as long as he's down with the guiding by biting. And then I'm also going to tell him, and if there's something dangerous going on, you just bite me and once, twice, 3 times, okay? That's the symbol for something's gone wrong, is 3 nips.
Okay.
Okay, you're doing pretty good. Are you hungry at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pick hungry.
Well, I don't have any food, and I won't until we stop for the night, but here. And I'll just gouge a little bit of like the meaty part of my hand between my forefinger and thumb, and he can sup on my blood and taste of my flesh all he wants.
Oh, damn! And you're not saying that in English. You're only doing it in animal.
Correct. Like as far as you can see, like Tempest just went like squeak, 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 and then just cut his hand open and let the mouse eat from him.
Well, mice are omnivores, so he eats of your flesh.
Dope.
I go, for Christ's sakes, Tempest, I've got rations.
Spiritual journey, K'Tierra.
Well, try to keep that to once a day. Any other time he needs to kip, he can have some of me rations. It's a mouse, for Christ's sakes. It won't affect how much I take.
Spiritual journey.
Person caring. Person wanting my carriage to be well and mobile.
You're not really one for like, being one with nature and like suffering in an aesthetic nature, are you?
I like civilization. I like having fine food and wine and drinks and nice clothes. You never really commented on my clothes. I really try to look nice.
Clothes are dumb. They're just the material expression of like, wealth and junk. They're really only useful if you're trying to show off how wealthy and powerful you are, or to make a statement about like your own personal abilities, like if you were wearing heavy armor.
Uh, We really got a difference in our common values, but you're a good person. Just because I don't agree with your values doesn't mean they're worth less. It just makes it really hard for me to sympathize.
Well, not asking for your sympathy, just another story, and we're going to continue on our way.
Ooh, all right. Well, I told you the dirty truth of my past. You already heard me talking my stories to try and make Urine have some more confidence in herself. No, you never heard those, did you?
Well, I guess not then.
Yeah, it was Snicket with us. Snicket. Well, I'm just saying, as a a comrade. Nobody can be Tempest.
Darn
I
tootin'.
mean,
Now make with the
you're.
story.
Ah, um. All right. So first off, I'm gonna look at him and say, "Now you said we'd be taking turns. I told you a story. Where's your story?"
Okay, fine. I will tell you a story of the jagged tusk. Do you want to
Right.
hear the story of the wee man of the mountains, or the story of Namby Pambleton, the cowardly orc?
Hmm. The Cowardly Orc, does it turn out well in the end? Or is it more a lesson about what not to do?
Well, it's both.
Hmm. That sounds interesting and something I might be able to adopt. Yeah, I'd like to hear the Cowardly Orc story.
Well, and so Tempest launches into a story about Namby Pambleton, the cowardly orc, who is actually a half elf that lives in a great, glowing, rich city. And the city, consumed by its greed and the inhabitants, like only concerned about social status and accruing of material wealth, get wealthier and wealthier until the wise men warn that the city is in grave danger and will one day be destroyed. Meanwhile, a humble half-elf by the name of Namby Pambleton tries to make a living as a bootmaker, until one day the wise men of the city warn of an incredible orc horde approaching. Namby Pambleton, having lived in poverty for many, many years, is kind of conscripted into the army and is sent out to scout, where after a couple of misadventures in the woods, he basically ends up shanghaied by the orcs. The bratty daughter of one of the orc chieftains basically claims him as her own, and through bullying and like the kind of friendly you know, the friendly familial abuse that basically orcs live with. They basically convince him that the orcish way of life is best. They come to attack the city. He has like prepared them to subvert the walls, break in, and loot all they can. But by the time they get there, the city is already like inflamed. The common people having gotten completely sick of the noble-born, and everything is aflame and rioting, and the orcs basically take one look at the city and say, yeah, no, we don't want anything to do with this. And so they return to the woods, dragging Namby Pambleton along with them. And he will then spend the rest of his life as an orc, going on many adventures. But the moral of the story is that Namby Pambleton is held up as an example of what not to be, and how until he finally accepts his place as an orc, that you shouldn't be cowardly, you shouldn't be willing to sell out your comrades, and you shouldn't be concerned with material items, and you shouldn't be overall worried about material goods or your own suffering. And once he learns all of these lessons and starts to see the world through the eyes of an orc, he basically is much happier for it. And that's the moral of the story, is that orcs rule, everybody else sucks. And Tempest basically tells the story to you with like, kind of a little bit of a condescending tone, but a great big smile on his face.
You do realize your tone sucks.
What?
The first thing we learn in Bard school is to have a tone of voice that doesn't look down upon the listener.
What do you mean? I'm telling the story exactly as my mother told it to me.
I almost want to do an insight check, but I know that it's player versus player.
Go ahead, man.
No,
I
no, 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 no. Dice rolls against other players is something I don't like to do, but
I'll tell
I'm
you. Then I will tell you that Tempest is being completely genuine, and he seems to be like a little bit confused at your criticism of his storytelling.
all right. Let me just put it this way. Have you ever heard me tell a story in a fashion that makes the other person think they're less than me?
No. Did they not teach you that in bard school?
They did. But what I'm saying is that you're missing your own tone and you're being a bit condescending and a bit looking down at me as you tell it. Now I get it. I get the criticism about the material and all that. Um, Out of all the ills of the city and their inhabitants, that's the one that comes closest to me. But that was a good story. Thank you.
Great. Next I'll tell you about Namby Pambleton and the giant.
At this point, Pick bites your right arm.
Awesome. We'll turn until he stops biting and continue on our way.
Okay. Can you give me perception checks, please?
Sure. Woof. 26.
Hmm. As you make your way through the woods, K'Tierra, you notice something that appears to be amiss in the snow ahead. It's all churned up by thousands of feet. But you see ahead a splash of green in a ring of stones, and there is a much larger stone thing there. I'm going to pull you to a new map.
All right. As soon as I notice it, there's a big "Hoi! Hold up! There's something sketchy up ahead."
Okay. What are we gonna do? Do you wanna sneak up or do you wanna go in fast and hard?
Well, we don't know if it's something alive that's going to try and stomp us or no. Um, I would suggest that we try to be all quiet like.
Okay, but first let's just rearrange ourselves a little bit so that we're ready for a scrap. And if at all possible, I'd like to sort of transfer his riding basket, his howdah, as it were, to sort of behind my shoulders, so that he's like poking up over my head, and I've got my arms clear in front of me, so I can swing.
Okay.
And then creeping on up.
Stealth checks.
Am I still noisy if I'm being carried?
Probably not. Tempus's check is good.
Would you like me to roll a disadvantage just because I'm carrying somebody, or?
Sure, that's probably the best way to go.
Ow.
So you start sneaking forward a little bit, and you see this large being of stone turn its eyes towards you, and it makes this grinding, growling, menacing sound. And Pick is uh, running over your shoulders back and forth, squeaking a lot.
I think we're in for it.
Well, it hasn't done anything hostile yet. Uh,
Do
do you
we
want?
do we try and swing around it and show that we don't want to confront it?
Well, I'm gonna look at the mouse and just say, left or right, left or right.
The mouse doesn't speak common, and it continues to run around on your shoulders.
Ryan, can I try and play my panpipes to try and calm the earth elemental?
Um, it you can do whatever you want, sure.
25.
You play a song, and as you're playing it, another figure steps up beside the being of stone. You see an aged half orc in hide, covered in hides, and he looks at you curiously.
Hail, Nuncle! May we approach?
Yes, yes. You're not the undead, so please come forward.
Am I fortunate enough to be addressing Gris?
I am Grisferg, Counselor of Nordgard. And as you approach, you see that he is covered in wounds. Um, and the earth elemental beside him is also rather battered.
Oi, Boyle, have you had to deal with the Horde?
Yes, there were many undead stormed through the region. I sent my companions away to the west for a time, and I stayed behind to defend the grove from their necromantic touch. We managed to keep the grove safe and sacred. I'm hoping that they will not return, for I have no spells left with which to fight them.
K'Tierra, do you have any healing left on you?
I don't, but I have a healing potion. Gris, take this. You need to be whole.
I am whole enough. You two also appear to be injured. Save it for yourselves. I believe the undead threat has passed to the north.
Yes.
That's the issue.
Nuncle, how long have you been in the wilderness?
Oh, since the beginning of winter.
Oh dear. Then you're not at all up on the news of anything.
I hear news now and then. One of the paladins of the Grove I recently sent to the city, and he met with the leadership and returned with news and said that he wished to join their armed forces to help fight against the undead threat that threatened Nordgard. And so he joined his newfound friend Gorold, and I have not heard from him since.
Oh, Gorold and him are buddies?
What's the name of this paladin?
His name is Kurt.
I see. Nuncle, we have much to tell you, far beyond simply the news of the undead. We have a lot of details as to what has actually been going on, and as well we have news from the city. My father, K'Tierra, and I are on a spirit quest, and I think that part of our quest was to come here and see you. We are in dear need of healing, especially K'Tierra. He has borne many lingering injuries from his fight against the undead. I know that you said you have no spells, but if we were to take a vigil while you rested, do you think you might be able to heal him of his egregious wounds?
Allow me to take a look at your friend and see the extent of the damage.
I'll lay K'Tierra out for him.
And I kind of stumble to the ground.
No, you don't. I put you down nicely.
You try and put me down nicely, but my legs are numb and not very coordinated.
Oh, it's on. Roll to transport. Nah, just kidding.
So Grizz takes a look at your injuries, and he frowns and shakes his head and says, "These wounds are grim. It would take magic more powerful than my own. There are options that I could lay out for you, and you could choose what path to take."
They're your wounds, K'Tierra. What do you want?
I want to hear me options.
I have recently grown in strength with nature and possess the ability to bring someone back from the dead in a new form. I do not possess the material components to do so, but I believe if I beseeched the spirits, they would allow me to cast the spell, and the results may be less predictable. So if you were to perish from your wounds, I could bring you back whole, but the results would be perhaps worse.
Now, are you saying I'd come back with other ailments, or just that I wouldn't be me, a half elf?
Regardless of how I cast the spell, it is unlikely you would return as a half-elf. What I mean is, and he kneels in the grove and brushes his hands over the grass. He says, you could return as a simple blade of grass, or you could return in any number of ways if I do not possess the proper components for the spell.
What components would you need, Nuncle?
Aye, what's missing?
Rare oils and unguents worth at least 1,000 gold pieces, which the spell consumes.
Yeah, and he doesn't possess those, as he very recently gained the power to cast a spell and hasn't had a chance to go out adventuring for such things.
Okay, and obviously we don't have it on ourselves,
Nope.
right? All right.
There is a less likely route, and he eyes you both up rather doubtfully before saying, have you ever been the recipients of nature's protection, where the world itself has come to your defense?
Yeah.
Well, when we were off trying to get after a Tempest, Yareen seemed to be able to make the trees around us hide us from the undead.
She did the same thing when we fought the Necrolord and the Abomination.
And this Yareen is a druid?
Boy, she's not. She's a ranger.
Nope, she's my girlfriend.
Well, she's that too, and yeah, of course, that's more important to you than what she does.
A ranger.
I
I am uncertain if a ranger would have the powers that you speak of. Is she a very great ranger with powerful magics?
Yep.
I have seen her perform incredible feats, but she's so self-effacing that somehow she never gets the credit that she should.
There are spells that can be cast that would allow a ranger, I believe, to speak with plants and beseech them for knowledge and possibly defense. And spells that would allow the ranger to create plant growth. Have you seen her do these sorts of feats?
She doesn't have to. She just basically asks the trees and they do what she tells them to.
And there's no evidence of spell casting when she does this?
Oh,
I mean, she bows her head, clasps her hands, and asks nicely.
it seems like her will and her want is enough without any demonstration, vocal, somatic, or material need to create the effect.
Most curious. I
I,
wonder about you then. And he steps back to a central stone in the grove and waves you to come forward.
okay, I go gimping over.
I'll support K'Tierra and we'll both go over.
There are ancient histories about this region, and it has not always been that people like me were caretakers of this grove. This stone, and he runs his hand over drawings that are faded on the surface, was here before humans and such moved into Nordgard. It is from the time of the elves, ancient. And according to inscriptions that I have found, it is tied to a god I am not familiar with, one that they refer to as Stormlord.
Why,
Arn?
that's the third god in the Triumvirate, K'Tierra, the brother of Shiro and Dowreth.
I know, I wasn't expecting to hear that.
Grizz looks at you both curiously and says, I am unfamiliar with these names that you speak of, or triumvirates. I simply know that Stormlord was an ancient power, and if the trees react to you as you say, it could be that this ancient god is in subtle ways looking out for you.
Do you know the names Dowreth or Dowreth?
No, they are unfamiliar to me.
Hmm.
That's part of the news that we need to share with you, Nuncle. There is war in the heavens, caused by the two gods, Sharo and Dowreth.
The heavens do not concern me. I am caretaker of the natural order, but
they are disrupting the natural order. It is because of their war that the undead have grown to such encompassing ranks and have destroyed so many peoples and cities. The other gods are currently under siege from them and cannot withstand them, leaving the clerics bereft. Dowreth empowers the necromancers, and Sharo shuts down any other efforts from other priests, forcing them either to pray to him or to go bereft without the blessings of their spells.
the workings of religious orders in Nordgard are none of my concern. They have not welcomed the voice of reason and the voice of nature in their hallowed halls as long as I have lived in this region. That is why I have a voice on council to balance the decisions of the city council, because they often forget to take into account the needs of the natural order.
I can see that we have much to tell you, but I'm sorry for interjecting. How could the Stormlord heal K'Tierra's injuries?
I am uncertain if it could. And he kind of looks at you with a furrowed brow and says, please try to not refer to Stormlord as male or female. From the inscriptions I have read, there has never been a gender assigned to Stormlord, despite the name Lord might imply a man. It is always carefully worded as it and them and they, and so I try not to think of it in terms such as you may think. However, I am not certain that Stormlord will help, for I have received no help. But if Stormlord has been helping you, there may be a subtle way that it will help you now. K'Tierra, if you could lay yourself upon this stone.
Okay. I bow to Grizz, smile at Tempest, and lay myself upon the stone.
Grizz looks at you and looks at the stone curiously. He's examining the writings on the stone to see if anything changes. And he asks you, do you feel anything as you lay upon this stone?
Do I need to do an insight or a perception on this?
Perception check.
All right. 19.
As you lay upon the stone, you felt that it was uncomfortable and cold. But the longer that you lay on it, you feel a very subtle warmth emanating up from it and into your flesh and bones. You don't feel healed, but you feel soothed as you lay on it.
It's making me warm, and I don't hurt so bad anymore, Grizz. I don't know what that means, but it's not normal.
Grizz touches the stone where you're laying on it and frowns and says, I feel no difference in the stone.
But I do.
Curious. He looks you over again and says, I see no difference in your injuries. I am uncertain if it is doing anything. As I said, the power of Stormlord has been gone for as long as I know. If there is power here, it is extraordinarily subtle and weak, and I am unsure why.
Grizz, give me your hand.
He takes your hand.
And I am trying with all my might to share the experience I feel on this stone with him.
He stares at you for a little while and says, what is the purpose of this?
I was hoping that I could pass along how the stone is affecting me to you so you would know instead of think and wonder.
I see. I feel nothing from it, and this is what is curious. Stormlord appears to have taken an interest in you and perhaps your companions. If the stories you tell of the trees defending you are true, lay there for a time. We shall see if your wounds show any sign of recovering.
K'Tierra, you should rest here. Nuncle, you should also rest and try to recover from your exertions. I will go into the woods and find us food.
Very well.
Okay, so I curl around the rock, but even though I curl around the rock, I take my panpipes up from my neck, my chest, and I slowly play a very ethereal melody. Basically, it's a lay tune with one of those Demeter type stories. You know, like the moon goddess comes down, a human sees her, falls in love, etc., etc.
As you do your performance, you feel the stone go cold when you speak of this goddess.
All right. As soon as I feel it going cold, I stop. And is there anything in the old stories about Stormlord songs or tales?
No, the only things that you've heard about Stormlord are you learned on your adventures.
All right. Basically, then, I'm thinking of trying to come up with an interpretive tune of a warm summer night with a storm rolling in and the rain coming down and the lightning and thunder rolling and crashing. And so it's like got lulls, trills, and then all of a sudden a lot of discordant bang, 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 bang type sounds.
And what are you playing that on?
My panpipes.
Okay. Can you give me a performance check?
Certainly. 22.
The stone warms beneath you again, and it's the strangest sensation, but you almost feel like it's purring underneath you.
Is Grizz close to me?
Yes, he has just sat down cross-legged in the grass and is closing his eyes to rest.
Grizz, could you touch the stone and try and commune with it? It's purring to me.
He reaches over and shakes his head and says, it is still but a cold stone.
I'm sorry you can't feel what I do, and I wish I could make you feel it.
I wish so as well. Tempus, you said you're going to gather some food. Do you have any abilities that allow you to do that, or are you doing a survival check to hunt?
Far traveler origin, baby. I have the ability to find rations for 6 people once per day.
Okay, you find enough rations for 6 people.
Specifically, I'm looking for vegetarian. I recognize that this is a sacred space for animals, for where they come to for healing and for rest. And I don't think that it would be right for us to engage in eating another creature here. So just focusing on on tubers, on root plants, on any kind of herbs that we can chew. It's not necessarily going to be a yummy meal, but it'll be
Roots,
felt.
berries, etc.
Exactly.
Yep, you find enough to feed everybody, no problem.
All right, Yule Gibbons Fest.
And yeah, I'll just come back and I'll stand guard over everybody as they rest, avoiding taking a rest myself if I have to.
Tempus, come here. Touch the stone.
I'll sit cross-legged and I'll say, "Sorry about misgendering you earlier. That's my bad for assuming," and I will touch the stone.
Does he feel anything?
Tempest, I've got a question for you.
Yeah,
How do you feel about Big Tempest?
that's a very very unsettled kind of way because I mean, on the one hand, we shared each other's space, we shared a body, and that sort of intimate connection, like it really kind of engenders some kind of connection, although maybe not always necessarily a friendly one. I'm not certain that I would call Tempest a firm worshiper of Tempest just yet, but he is definitely God curious at this point, and I think he feels that if he were to pick a god, it would be Tempest.
The stone is cold to your touch and just a regular stone.
Sorry, K'Tierra, but I think that I've chosen another way.
I was just wishing somebody else could tell Grizz what I felt and had experienced it themselves.
This is a spiritual journey, K'Tierra. What you feel is legitimate, and none of us here are doubting you. Just,
Does this mean I'm going to be one with a Stormlord?
only if you choose to, it seems. Like, you're opening yourself up to it, but whether or not you go all the way, that's up to you. I think you just lie there quietly, think about the Stormlord, and, when Tempest came to me, we exchanged ideas and feelings and sort of felt each other out, and while that may have gotten me into a little bit of trouble, at the very least he gave me the broad strokes of who he was and what he was about. So, this is the moment where you really ought to just sort of open up your mind and listen.
And like K'Tierra is just hama hama ha ha and like just totally blown away. He never thought he would be in a situation where he would commune with a god. He doesn't know that he's actually going to commune with a god. The warm feeling is lovely, but he's extremely anxious because he really considers Tempest carrying around Big Tempest was an asshole.
Little Tempest is going to just sort of like reach out and tug away your panpipes, and he's going to push you back down onto the stone, and he's just going to say, "Listen, keep your mind open. No matter what, no matter what they say, I don't believe that they can change who you are in here, or that they can't really do anything without you somewhere wanting it. So listen, this is your chance to legitimately open yourself and listen. And if what is said does not agree with you, then you have to make that choice for yourself. But this is the moment where I think you're going to have to leave behind everything that you carry from civilization and open yourself up to the potential of the wild, and if it's for you, choose it. And if it isn't, then we find another way, but you need to listen."
K'Tierra feels violated by the pancakes being taken away. He has nothing left. He has nothing that makes him a bard left. And he feels lost. And he feels empty. And then he starts hearing Tempest's words. And he forces himself to center. And he begins to concentrate. And then he begins to start a languageless chant. And it is a chant meant to duplicate the song he did on the panpipes, where he is like trying to sound like a still, calm night. And then the clouds rolling in, the storm building, the lightning, the thunder. And he just goes through this in his mind, trying to open himself out and trying to actually. He's finally opening up his mind and releasing it to try and find a way to connect to the Storm Lord. He is trying to reach beyond himself. He's trying to reach beyond everything material that has been his main concern and trying to reach beyond that on a spiritual level to seek a God, to try and seek a reason to continue living with all his pain and all his hindrances.
And I think for his part, Tempest is going to step back and he's going to stand guard in the grove over the two resting people, but I also think he's going to smile to himself while he listens to K'Tierra try to sing a storm.
And K'Tierra, as you sing, and Tempest, you note that his words, after all, begin to slur, and his eyes droop closed, and he falls asleep with a song on his lips to Stormlord. K'Tierra, you dream, which I don't believe I've given you any dreams over the course of the campaign thus far, have I?
If they have been, it's been like more than a year.
Okay. You dream of laying on the stone in the grove and snow falling and the sky flashing with distant lightning that you can't see and the soft thunder rolling over. And you look up and think you see a deer approaching you in the shadows. But as it draws closer, you see that it's actually a humanoid figure with antlers. It smiles at you, and it doesn't say anything. It simply lays a hand on your wounded body, and you feel warmth and peace. But even as the hand lays on you, you feel that it is distant and not present at the same time. It's a very strange sensation. The vision goes dark, and you guys get a long rest in. And K'Tierra, when you wake from the long rest, you get twice as much healing from it as you normally would. So 1 plus your con modifier doubled.
Okay. So that's 1 plus 4, so 5. Okay, 35 there. And that also does all my spells, right?
Yes, you have all your spells back. And Tempest, you'll get the bonus of the long rest as well, as you do fall asleep. At some point, Grizz takes over the watch. Pick also offers to take a turn.
Yeah, in respect of his great job leading us here and everything, I of course will respectfully give him a shot at it.
What, picked?
Yeah, my little mouse buddy.
Our mouse buddy.
Our mouse buddy.
And K'Tierra, when you wake up, you still have all of the maladies that you're plagued with, but you do get the sense that they're a little less sharp than usual, and that if you were to stay here and rest for a time, they would all be healed.
Tempest, I'm better. I'm not whole, but I'm better.
That's fantastic. Are you able to come back to the city?
I could go back to the city, but I would still be suffering. The malady. I can't walk right. I'm still gonna fall over if too many times when I try to do something right. I have no idea how long it'll take me to make me right, but I know if I stay here, I will be right.
Okay, then I think that we are on the part of our spiritual journey that requires recompense and payment for wrongdoings. And I'm going to turn to Grizz and say, Nuncle, can I tell you a story?
Certainly.
And I'm going to tell him everything. I'm going to tell him goddamn everything. I'm going to tell him from like walking into the city and meeting up with Izmir. I'm going to tell him about breaking her window. I'm going to tell him about our various pursuits with the guards. I'm going to tell him about Miri and leaving her behind. I'm going to tell him about discovering Sharo and bringing him to them. I'm going to tell him about the origin of the orcs and that history book that we found. I'm going to recount everything as factually as I can. I'm going to tell him about our current struggles. I'm going to tell him about throwing the wrath of Tempus against the Temple of Sharo. I'm going to tell him about like Izmir and my belief that she is a legitimate authority who should take over from the council because you have Counselor Bell declaring herself that maybe Dowreth isn't so bad, and just general the lost what Tempest sees as being the lost and the what's the word the sort of like either violated or misused authority of the city council. And I'm going to tell him everything, including our escape from the city. And I'm going to say, what's that? Sorry. Yeah. Corrupted. Yeah. That's as good a word as any. Misused. Yeah. And I'm going to tell him absolutely everything. And I'm going to say, now, Nuncle, you are both a city councillor as well as an agent of balance. What do you think about all of that?
And while Tempest is going on, wherever I think he's like slanting it too much away, based on his feelings as opposed to what I see, I will provide a counterbalance, but I will never disagree. I'm just trying to shade the story.
Yeah, and we also include like me dying and coming back with Tempest and the war in the
hell
heavens and everything. Like as up to date as we can make him, we're bringing him up to date, and then I'm going to look at him and say, "What do you think we ought to do?"
I think you've been through much in a short period of time. I believe you were correct to come here on your spiritual journey and recenter yourselves. The threat of the undead has passed to the north. It is my hope that there will be peace for a time. I believe you should stay here, and I will meditate on this news that you bring. I disagree with you that the power of the council is misused. There are certainly differing views on the council, some I disagree with, but I do not believe as a whole that it is corrupt, as you say. I have seen it in action for many years, and I have seen the good that it does for Nordgard and the surrounding areas. Are there people who change the laws and view the laws with their own self-interest in mind? Of course. But that is why there are 5 on the council. Because one person cannot sway it by themselves. There is no queen, and he says this quite pointedly, who makes all decisions alone. And if the council is split, they come to me and I break the tie. This is why 5 is an important number for the council.
Ryan, do I have any idea from the sensations I had how long I need to be here to get right with my ailments?
No, you're not sure how long it will take, but you do get the sense that it will heal. And you have never had that sense of it up to this point. Like you wake up from a long rest and you never feel better, but you do feel like your body is at least beginning to mend when you're here. Obviously, a heal spell or a regeneration spell would be faster, or like instantaneous, but given that Grizz can't cast spells that powerful, this may be a viable alternative that doesn't involve killing yourself and hoping to be reborn as something useful.
Yeah. And honestly, Tempest could use a few long rests himself.
I mean, I'm pretty okay, man, but I think from an RP standpoint, like, are you okay with taking a long rest out in the woods? Are you okay with being out of the action? I have a few more questions for Grizz, but what do you feel about what is right for your character?
Honestly, I am so frustrated with the neuralgia and now being smacked down with the goddamn movement. Yeah, I want to rest. I want to heal. I want to be effective. If I up, I want it to be because the dice weren't loaded against me.
Okay, so it's sounding like you want to stay here. You don't want me to whack your head off, and then we take a chance at you being reincarnated as a dragon. Is that about right?
That would be cool as hell. However, it's not 100% that I will be reincarnated as a cognitive being, from what Ryan said earlier. I could be a blade of grass, according to him.
Or you could be a cute little badger.
Um, Actually, I'd prefer to be a ferret than a badger, but either one of those would be cool. It would just really be hard to play an instrument.
You're off topic. So
No, it's not on topic. It's totally on topic. I'm a bard. I'm worried about being able to play an instrument.
I'm kidding, man. Okay, so I think that you're thinking that you want to stay. I'm good with that. Tempest is going to turn to Grizz and say, I really do think that you should return to the city to provide them with your voice of reason, and you should probably take me in while you're at it to both stand, for my friend Izmir, whom I've gotten into a lot of trouble, as well as to possibly face the city's justice. What do you think?
You have certainly committed crimes against the city of Nordgard. As I said, I will meditate on all of this news and think on it before I make any rash decisions. Give me a couple of days here to think about the path forward. But what you say does resonate with me, and I believe it is time for me to make a trip into Nordgard once more.
Last question is does he have like an animal friend that could carry a message back to the city for me?
There are no druids in the city that would be able to speak with an animal that he sent. Or do you mean like to physically carry a message?
To carry a message, I've got a letter for Urine.
Yeah, I thought that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, he could. Like the animals scattered when the undead came through, but he's sure they'll return shortly, and he can send a bird.
Should
Yeah, then,
return within a day, shouldn't they?
That was a very large horde of undead, and he sent everybody off. So
Right.
they'll be back soon.
well, I'm going to give him a letter for Urine, which I'll send to you later, but I think that's it for us then. I think that we're going to be sitting here and waiting.
Sounds good. Just so you guys know, I have heard from the ladies what their plan involves. Since I'm not doing a session with them, because their plans don't really require one, I am going to play a little song that they wake up to for you guys.
Okay. Better not be about Girl the Good.
You know that's what it's about, man.
You.
Our defender drove the villains from our midst, but in our darkest hour they would return. Such vile foes, not a human among them. They would sit by and watch humanity burn. They slew their own cleric, who they once had called their friend, seen speaking with the undead. They sought to bring our faithfuls in, craving blood. They set upon our city and slaughtered the temple. The mindless brute, Tempus the tyrant, a thorough whipping would not change his ways. He commands his concubine to cover her ears like a child, so she cannot hear his lies. K'Tierra the wretched, the leader of their evil band, proudly admitted to everything, admitted to planning the attack. They laughed at their evil deeds, delighting in the suffering they had wrought, admitted to worshipping the Mad Elven Queen, worshipping the Mad Elven Queen, the Mad Elven Queen. And K'Tierra, the monster, murdered Bran the Brave. Yes, K'Tierra, the monster, murdered Bran the Brave. And just as before, they fled into the night. Goral, save us all. Goral, save us all.
Oh, what a malicious piece of...
I love it. We have a Western about us now.
So,
Who
according
the put that together? It had to be group 2.
No,
I'm outraged!
it was clearly a cowboy singing about us. It couldn't have been group 2. None of them are cowboys.
There is a bunch of butthurt tools singing that song, envious of us.
No, man, cowboys don't get envy. They're super cool.
No, this is not cowboy. This, oh God, who was that guy? The '90s band. He did the song Superman, and he had like that low baritone voice.
I could be your hero, baby.
Yeah, it was very much in that tone. But K'Tierra the monster? You! I didn't even kill Bran. Bran wasn't dead. Tempest made him unconscious.
If he is dead, we got him. Like, if they killed Bran while he was unconscious and helpless, we can very much pin that back on them. Like, don't worry, man. They've tipped their hand too far this time. We got him.
So anyway, according to the plan that I've heard from those who are still in Nordgard, Yrene is going to be coming into the woods looking for you guys. So she would bring you news of that song and ask you about, I'm sure, especially about the fact that K'Tierra murdered Bran. And by the sounds of it, you guys would deny that, rightfully so.
Oh yeah, most heartily. I would just have like a jaw drop, dumb gobbed look on my face and just be like, I didn't strike him at all.
I mean, I did hit him pretty hard. Like, that was a really awesome strike. Could have been me. Could have been me.
No, when he went down, Ryan did not say he was dead. He was just unconscious.
I mean, I declared I was knocking him unconscious, but who knows? I'm just trolling you, man. Like, yeah, obviously we didn't kill him.
Oh, I'm being a straight man because, like, I am just so offended by that song. Even more than an original Goral propaganda mine.
Hey, we have a Western about us now. I am so happy.
Of course you are. Anything that has your name in a song makes you happy. I'm critical. I actually listen to it.
Well, Tempest is more like Trump. He hears his name and he gets excited.
And I respect the fact that you get a every time you hear your name in song. However, I listen to the song and what it is actually trying to convey to listeners. And that's why I was so blown away in the cell when you weren't offended and actually suggested I play Goral tune.
I mean, that was to get your goat. But at the end of the day, the amount of like good effort and planning that Trevor put into that, you got to appreciate it. That's fantastic.
No, but I'm just wondering why he hasn't spent any of it on me.
I mean, he just did, man. K'Tierra the monster.
He hasn't. Like he didn't come up with the tune to replicate how I pumped you up and made you awesome in the wrestling fight.
Well, why would he?
Uh,
This is more fun.
oh hush, Ryan! I know you're laughing your ass off at me.
It's fantastic. That's exactly the reaction I thought you'd have to that song.
Of course it is. You know what reaction I have to the Goral songs? Did you expect me to actually lose it in the middle of the song, though?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you would.
Your dreams are come true.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Ah, good times. So, just a quick rundown of how this is going to go. Given the news from Nordgard and Grizz having heard your side of things and hearing K'Tierra's very strong reaction about the song and the claims that he murdered Bran, he is going to recommend that you guys stay at the Grove. And he's not going to bring Tempest in to be imprisoned because there's clearly something going on in town and he needs to investigate further. So he leaves you in the safety and sanctuary of the Grove for as long as you need, which will be 10 days for K'Tierra to fully heal from his wounds. So you are healing faster than the neuralgia would have if you would have taken a normal amount of downtime. And it also heals the injuries that wouldn't have healed from just resting. So you're completely better after 10 days. So that gives you some downtime to do whatever you want. If you want to take some time to think about that, what you want to do out here, if there's any skills that you want to try to pick up or practice, languages, anything like that, now is the time.